Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Smart Table Virtual User Group. I'm super excited that you're here on this lovely December day. I am Heather Lamb and I am your host for today's session. So glad that you are joining us and hopefully learn some cool new fun things. I forgot to share my screen. So that's probably better for you. So I am recording this session and I'm glad, as I said, that you're joining us today. I would just love to introduce myself again. I'm Heather Lamb. I'm Marketing Manager at Smart Technologies. For many of you, I was an education consultant for about 7 years, I think, and then last April I moved into this new role. If you're on Twitter, you can follow me at HeatherLamb08, and I'm glad that you're joining us today, and hopefully you will learn some tips and tricks today. I like these sessions because these sessions are probably maybe most beneficial to you. It's our Make It and Take It session. So if you haven't downloaded, I did create a resource pack. So let me, hold on just a second, and I have a shortener, Google shortener. So I did download or create a resource pack that we'll use. I'll put it on this page as well. So if you didn't get that email, or maybe you registered a little later, this is where you can go and download. This Make It and Take It, it's however you want to work with me and work with the technology. If your learning preference is just to watch me and then go back and listen to the webinar, you can do that. It's however you want to do it, but I will have some time for you to actually use these tools, these resources that I created, and we'll put them together. I'll talk about how I created them and the steps, and I gave you all the resources that you can, that I'll demonstrate today. So I said who I am, and I'm excited. I'm putting a plug in for vacations because actually on Wednesday I will be heading to Florida and taking in, although I live in Texas, it's warm right now. It's actually, I think, been up to the 80s in last week, so it's definitely warm here. That I don't think it's always this warm, but it is this year. Last year I think we had ice, so Texas likes to go around and around with its weather. So let's get on with this. I said who I am, and why do we do this? Well, a lot of times I'm demonstrating how to use the table and how to create activity packs. We talk about resources. We talk about best practices and networking. It's one of those things that I love probably the best. It's hard to really get a ton of people. I'm actually part of, I should have probably said this in the beginning, I'm actually, in my spare time, I always laugh because I don't really have any spare time, but I'm working on a PhD in learning technologies. And Ashley, you're from Texas. Hey. So I was just in Houston last weekend. So if you want, you can introduce, Ashley just introduced that they're from Texas and that from Houston. So if you want to tell me where you're joining, that would be fantastic. So, now in Vancouver, Washington, major difference. So yeah, major difference. Major difference in a lot of ways. So that's super cool. But if you wanted to tell me in that question panel where you're from, I'll ask a few questions as we're going through this. But where that is if you're looking at your screen and you see that little panel, you can move that out of the way if you don't have anything to say to me. But there's a little arrow right here that you can push that out of the way. And then if you close it, it will actually close out the whole thing. If you want to ask a question, you can. You can ask me by raising your hand if you want to, if you have a headset, or you can just ask me through your computer. So you can do that. But put those questions in there, because the benefit of doing this way, it's not a lot of webinars that you will attend are very one-sided and somebody's just speaking. I want to make this beneficial for you And so if you have a question or need me to slow down or repeat what I'm going to share with you, tell me to stop or tell me to repeat that. Tell me so that I know what I can do to help you along your journey with the SMART table. Today, a lot of times what we do is we talk in general sense about the table, but I am not on a table. I'm actually going to talk about the toolkit pretty heavily today. So if there's something you want me to repeat, definitely put that in the question panel. I'll do what I can to watch it. I do post the webinars on this YouTube channel. It's youtube.com, and then I think you don't have to put the user, but you do Smart Table Friend. So if I go here, you'll see that here's where oh, I just noticed that I think I forgot to post last month's there, because we had one in October, and I think that completely went away. Either that or I posted it in our Ed to Ed channel. I'll have to check that. But normally I post the webinars in this channel, and there are a variety of different topics and things, but if you're just getting started with using your table, I would highly recommend, I believe it's this session, the October session of last year. A lot hasn't really changed with the table or with the toolkit, so no new versions or anything just yet. But I think it's either October or November, if you need to really understand, I think it was this one, you can go in, yep, it was this one, because I can see that, so this is actually me on the table. So this session, October 2013, if you need to really get some understanding about how to use the table, I would recommend using this, because I'm actually using the table software from the table doing this. So I would highly recommend, if you're looking for that bit of information, then that's the session I would go to. So it is youtube.com/SmartTableFriend. So check that out if you're needing a little bit extra help. But every month we'll do different things, or every other month. It's kind of the cycle. I stopped doing them every month because it was a lot of information, so we're doing them every other month. And it's really to help you to better use the table. As my friends, as a little picture right here, I'll talk about an activity that I actually did with that's similar to this. So I don't want to take a lot of time on this. I did want to remind you, hopefully you have the Smart Table Toolkit loaded on your computer, and I sent a link out for that. But just as a reminder, if you don't have that, if you go to our main website, smarttech.com, and my computer's like going super slow, and going to Education, and then under the Support tab right here, if I go to Software Downloads, it's kind of in a weird place, but go to Software Downloads, and then once you're in that, you're going to look for the picture of the Smart Table. So remember that the Smart Table has Smart Table software, so I'm going to scroll down, and here's that picture of that table. Even if you have a previous, so we have this is the 442i. If you have the 230i, it's all in the same place. But here's 3.1, that's the software that actually goes on the table. So you can update that from your table, or you can download it and update it that way. That does not go on your computer. The table toolkit is what goes on your computer, and whether you have the Windows or a Mac version would depend on which of the downloads that you would use. So hopefully if you're going to plan to make it and take it with us, you've got either the Windows or the Mac software on your computer. I've had some people that have asked about Smart Sync. I'm going to possibly, I'm getting some questions so I can make sure this is easily understood as possible. So I've got some questions about that I'm going to possibly bring in the new year at the next session. So, but I want to get some questions answered, so I'm telling you the right information about that. But the table itself, everything that I'm telling you, it's based on version 2.6, and we're going to rock and roll with that. let's see, let's go to the next page. So I wanted just to give a shout out for the Smart Exchange, because as you're learning to use the table, the Smart Exchange is the best place to find some resources. And I have a lot of people even sent, so if I go to exchange.smarttech.com, I've had some people recently email me and say, you know, I try to download something, but it won't work on my table. And I ask one question is, are you downloading Smart Table Activity Packs? And then they go to look and said, oh, no, it's a notebook file. So to use the notebook, you have to put it within, in most cases, it works best within a Smart Table Activity Pack to get the most touches, all of that. So the easiest way to do this really is you can, if let's say, if I was going to do winter because that's the theme of my activity pack that I created. And so when I just search winter as just a general, and I didn't put any filters, you see that there's over 1,000 of types. Well, what was happening where people were going right here to notebook lessons and trying to add those, and that's not what you need. What you need to do is scroll down to where it says Smart Table Activity Packs. And then if you're just looking for some, if you have a Smart Table 442i, anytime you see this HD, this has been optimized for the table. These will still work, but if you've noticed, some of them might have the little black bars on the side, and that they still work great, but these activity packs have been optimized for the 442i. So not not all of them have them, but we've gone through and some have that HD, and you can see. But this is an easy way. You can go up and if you wanted to, you could go and filter it if you wanted to a bit further. But that's just an easy way to find, and see that gave me 57 returns. So then I can go in. Some of them you'll see have a quick screen share. Some of them have videos. It depended on when these were uploaded as what you'll get as to see a little preview of them. You remember that there's two different ways that you can add these to the table. So if let's say you're at home and you don't have a table and you're looking through for a lesson, possibly winter lesson that would go with, say, a curriculum application or a standard that you want to use on your table, then you don't have the table there. So, and it's easier probably than having to go back through and find it, just to download it. So you would download it, put it on a USB, and then when you get to school, plug it in, and you would then plug it into your table, go into the teacher menu and choose the USB, then add it to your table. That's the easiest way. So just download this, put it on your USB stick, and then when you get to school, when you're at a table, find it and open it from your USB stick. As soon as you download it, it's going to add it to your table, so it'll be there. That's one way. But if you're at school, or wherever your table is at, then you can do a search. I was showing that a minute ago on that video in October, how to download those things. So you can download them straight to the table, but you need an internet connection for that. So you would need to be connected to the internet to do that. And the table doesn't necessarily need the internet, but if you're going to download anything, you would most assuredly, because it has to tap into the Smart Exchange, and you have to have the internet for that. So those are the two ways that you can do that. You can, so I've had a couple of people that have said, oh, I like these Macmillan. How can I find just Macmillan? Well, if you click on this publisher, you can actually click and it'll filter it by Macmillan, and then you can say, oh, wow, there's 150 activity packs that Macmillan has created. So there's also, you can filter it even further, but that's just an easy way to see what has been created by that publisher. These are all, I believe all the Macmillans are free to download. So they have quite an assortment of them, and they're nice to use as well. And remember too that when you download, even though it's Macmillan, when you download these, if let's say potentially you downloaded this fall activity pack and you really didn't want all of these applications, you can download it and you can customize it a bit. So maybe you only wanted 3 of the applications. Don't feel that you have to use it as it is in the current state that you download it. Make it, customize it to your needs in your classroom. So it doesn't have any stipulations that way. All right, so wanted to put a plug out for that, but what you're here is to find out about that Make It and Take It. So I hope you have your thinking caps on. I sent the resource pack as a link. I have it downloaded. I think it's right here. So let me tell you how I did this, so that you'll know what's in this little pack. So this is something, I made it so you could go back and refer to it after I post. I'll make sure that I get the October session. I made it so that you could go back and watch the video and stop it and play around with these parts and pieces, but I wanted to make it as user-friendly as for you to use if you wanted to see how to build your own activity packs, and that's what a Make It and Take It is. So I'll give you, I don't consider myself by any means an expert, and so these are all things that help me to create things, but if you've got a better way to do it, I'd love to know it. There's always, different software applications that you can use for clipping and copying and pasting, but so I just wanted to, I gave you basically a clean copy, this Winter Fun copy, and then there's a practice one. So I wanted to give you one to practice with, and I think, let me close that one out and let me open up the practice one. So I wanted to give you one that you could practice with so that if you messed it up, then you don't have to make another copy of it. That's what's there. So that I just opened this, but let me go back to that folder again and let's talk about that. So in the folder, what I've done is I've created folders. So in the main folder, there's folders within the folder, and each folder has the different application that it is associated to. So this is the home one, is the home page. If you're a Smart Notebook user, in most, not all of the cases, a lot of them I just did the image, but in a lot of cases, if you use Smart Notebook, I gave you the notebook file that you can customize as well. But I also, in some of them, I gave PowerPoint, and I'll talk more about this in just a second, because how to create backgrounds and things. And then I gave the background, and I gave an image, just things that might help you along the way. So we're going to talk, we'll get through as much as we can. I'm going to talk, this one's called Edition Plus, so I'm going to talk to you about how I did this. Let's see what other application. Hot Spaces, there's 2 different activities. So I have a Counting Snowman and Sudoku that I created. Hot Spots, there's 2 different activities. So these are all folders that I've created for you. Like I said, you can use these however you want to practice, play. If you do professional development with teachers, use them for your teachers. I gave it, so I figured that even if you're in warm, sunny climates, Snowman might come out somewhere. So hopefully this will get you through some of the wintry months with some fun activities. So that's kind of how that works. I'm going to give you kind of a high-level look at my activity pack, and then we'll build something pretty simple. The nice thing about the toolkit is a lot of it is repeatable. The steps are repeatable. I think the first thing that I want to talk about is some of you that have attended some of my sessions before will know this, but the way that the toolkit works is that it works kind of in a layered system. So this background right here, this is like your bottom layer. So a lot of these applications, so these are applications, Edition, Edition Plus, these are applications, and I'm on my home right here. This is my home base or home page, and then these are applications. So within, so I've got home. So if let me go back here. So this is called an activity pack, and within the activity pack, I have These are called applications, and within each application, I can have activities. So notice in Addition Plus, I've created 2 activities. Hot spaces, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 activities. Hot spots, I have 1, 2, 3. Media is kind of, it's like a standalone. It's not really, the whole thing is one activity. You can't have multiple activities. Narrow it down is this, you can have multiple activities or within it. So I could have that from here. And then paint, these are not necessarily, I guess they're considered activities. So paint, I'll talk about a bit about that. So hopefully that gave you a bit, so the hierarchy of it. So when I have this is my bottom layer. I can do bottom layers or get a bottom layer. These little icons right here, these are pretty standard. So I can have a folder which will refer to this, like I have those folders that I created for you. So here's a folder here. There's also, I can import pictures from the gallery. The gallery is on the Smart Exchange. Even if you don't have access or maybe you don't have Notebook, you can have the gallery, access to the gallery, and it's got tons and tons of images, as you'll see. There is a copy-paste feature, so you can right-click and copy and then paste images in, and then there's a delete button. So you'll see these replicated across all the applications. There is a way to go to online activity packs, but we're going to be building today, so I'm not going to access this. As with anything, save often is my recommendation. So if you have an activity pack, like maybe you start on one today, you might do a save as and save it as a new name. If you just want to save all, you just save it like without changing the name, then that's where you would do save all. You also, here's something to note, I get this question a lot, you can only, right now, hopefully we're going to have some changes, I hope, but right now you can only have one instance of the Smart Table Toolkit open at a time. So those of you that are familiar with Notebook, where you can have a couple of Notebook files open and kind of cross-pollinate and take one thing from one, at this point you can't do that. So you have to, like, that's why I create folders of stuff, because then I can take that model and replicate it into something else. I don't just use it once. The other thing that's pretty cool is, depending on your age, now this one I probably would say it's for a younger grade, but you could up it, the ante of it. But if you have readers, non-readers, you might want to use the audio. So there's a really cool feature within most of the applications, which down here, if you've heard some of the activity packs talk to you, or somebody's reading something, that's from here where you can have, if I go right here where it says import audio, so reading instructions means the computer is going to read to you, and that's okay, but I like, when I was teaching, I liked kids to hear my voice, so I would read things to them. So I can go to this import audio feature, and when I do that, a little microphone shows up. So I can record my voice right within the toolkit. You won't be able to hear this, but if you practice on your own computer, what will happen, let me make sure that I'm on the right audio right here. I'm on a Plantronics. When I started, if I say, like if I said, how about some winter fun? So if I'm going to start the recording, how about some winter fun? And I stop it, I can play it. You won't be able to hear that because it's coming through mine, but if you try it out on your computer, you probably will hear your voice. And then if you like it, you attach it. So now when this application, or this activity pack is what I should say, when it starts up, it's going to read that out loud. And that's a super good feature for your non-readers that need like that one-to-one relationship, or early readers. So you might need to, and let's say you found an activity pack that you wished it had that, you can go back in and adjust that. So that's how you can customize those things to meet your needs a little bit better. All right, so let's talk about backgrounds for just a second. So, whoops, that's not the one I want. Let me see here. I think I've got it opened here. Let's see, where is that folder at? I think, let me hold on just a second. It's on my desktop. Here's what oops, nope, that's not what I want. I want this one. All right, so I just want to talk a bit about a background for just a second. So let me go here and let me talk to you kind of how I did this, because this backgrounds are going to make it or break it for you for sometimes. Sometimes you'll see backgrounds and you can just use just different things for backgrounds, but I like to add a little words or things. So I'm going to open up, this is a PowerPoint. All I did was export my notebook file, but you can make backgrounds in just really different ways. So you can make backgrounds in PowerPoint, you can make backgrounds in Paint, you can make backgrounds if you have an image software. You know, really all you need it to do is be able to export as an image file. So whatever you want to use, you can make backgrounds in Notebook. So, but I'm going to show you how I do this in PowerPoint, because that seems to be kind of a universal thing that people have. So I actually used WordArt to make this be round like this. So I just used WordArt and I just copied it and then pasted it in here. And then these are just images that I copied and pasted from the Smart Exchange, but you could use any images. Remember that when you're on the table, it's a 360-degree environment. So that's why I've got Winter Fun upside down, because in all essence, you're going to have kids on all sides of the table. If you put your content reading from top to bottom, what's going to happen, what I've seen happen, is all your kids are going to be standing on one side of the table. You could do that, but that doesn't really get the full benefit of that 360-degree design of the table where kids can be standing everywhere. And then you have those jacks on each side. So, you know, you have the audio jacks. What's cool about that is, let's say you have a student and maybe you had some recordings in something that you'd created. You could plug in a headset on one of those jacks and only have to have one headset in, and that kid can control it. So maybe they need a little bit of audio support. They could put the sound really high, where the rest of the kids, it would not be, it's different. So I could control the headphone on my headset by myself, however high or low that I need it, while the rest of the table maybe is at a lower sound decibel. So you can negotiate that on the table. So you want kids to be all around the table. So you notice that that's why I have things upside down. Then what I have to do is I have to get this in image form. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to do a save as. If I browse, notice that I'm going to take it, and if I click on, let me go back to this, if I click this where it says Save As Type, maybe I wanted to make, and I had a whole bunch of backgrounds that I did it all at one point, but what I want to do is either save it in, is either a JPEG or a PNG. So either one of those will work. I'll just choose PNG, and I'm going to click Save. It's going to prompt me which sides do you want to export, and if I had a bunch of slides, I could say all of them, but I'm just going to do that one. And then in my folder, what I get is, here is, I think it's this one right here that I just created. It might be this one, but I think it's this one right here. So now it's an image, and so what I would do is, let me close out of here to get, let me go back to this and just kind of show you the steps, because it's really the same steps over and over. So it says background image. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to my desktop. Here's my folder I want. Here's my home folder. And here's that image that I just created. And what's cool about this is I don't, I can't resize, but I can crop. So if I only wanted this as a background, I could use that as my background. Maybe I only wanted this as a background. So I can crop out stuff. Oh, that's kind of fun. Maybe I just want to do that. Oh, look. That didn't turn out too bad. It's kind of hiding this, but that's okay. So do you see how that works? If I said, oh, I don't want to do that, then I'm going to go back to that, and then I'll just fix it again and click OK, and I'm back to that. So that's as easy as it is to do backgrounds. I encourage you to play. You can, if you wanted to. I could go to winter and search and find, and maybe I wanted this to be my background, and click OK, and then resize that so that's where I want, and that becomes my background. It's pretty simple to get backgrounds in there. Some of the applications, I wouldn't put a lot of background because it gets really busy, but in the home page, you could have a cool background. So let me go back to this one, use my crop tool or resize tool, and then I have that there. Okay, so let's take a look at what I did, and then I'll show you, and then you can add something to it. So this first one's called Addition Plus. Let's talk about the steps. So if you're following along with me, make sure to ask me questions. So step 1, create questions. So I have count the hats and count the scarf. So there's 2 different activities. Then I have, this one is question text, count the hats, so that's my first background. And then I didn't put any audio here, but remember we just learned that, so I can do this, import an audio. And then what this is this is a one-to-one relationship again. So I have these counting blocks, and I've seen on the Smart Exchange that some people have created something, and you know they only had like 10 things to count, but they have a 25 block in there. Well, all you have to do is just deselect that and then resave it if you want to, and then reload it on your table. So if you see mistakes or see changes that you want to make, you can do that. Maybe you don't want blocks, so there's money that you can use, but for this I would use blocks. And then my answer, so I didn't change this yet because I wanted you to see how easy it is. So I have count the hats, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I would put my answer here as 6. I can reorder these if I said I wanted count the hats to be second. So I can reorder that down. The other thing that's about this one, so every once in a while some of the applications have some features that are specific to that application. This one has a token distribution. So if you were in an upper grade classroom, this one's pretty simple. But if you were in an upper grade and you really wanted some collaboration going on, you might have something where they have to add something, or they might have to divide, and then they have to use, it's kind of like having some virtual manipulatives here. So you might want each person to have access to all of the items, or you might want them to have a subset, so get some really good thinking going on. And then these instructions that are down here, let me open that up a bit bigger. So these instructions, the only caveat that I would tell you about the instructions is the instructions is going to show up once. So it needs to be somewhat generic, but you can read the instructions as well. So so I did count the hats. Let me go back to count the scarves. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, I would put 5 here. I don't have any audio. I don't have too many things selected here. So it's pretty simple. Then what does it look like on my screen? So this, if you do a preview, now if you don't see that preview button, if you make sure that you're maximized, you'll be able to see it. So see how it says count the scarves? That's the activity right there. And then these are the little one-to-one. So the kids would come up here. Now I only have 3, but if you had your table set up for 4 learners, you would have 4, or if you have them set up to 2. But basically it's a one-to-one. So, and see how the numbers are changing? And then, let's see, 1, 2, 3, oh, and then it gives a little pause and it validates, and whatever, or clapping, and that's automatic. And now we have count the hats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nothing really hard, but pretty effective if you've got little ones that are trying to learn how to count. So I basically, when I went in, I just basically, so that's the last activity in that one. So basically what I did was I could say count the snowballs. And if I wanted to, let's see, maybe I'll open up and show you in Notebook how easy it is to those of you that use Notebook. If I said count the snowballs, I might want to have, let's see, maybe I want just a little light blue background. And then simply, let's see, so if I do this and I'm going to fill it, and I'm a big I don't like to repeat things over and over, so I'm going to show you there's a really cool thing that I can do that I can infinitely clone. So if I did start pulling these out, cloning is like copying and pasting. Those of you that have never used Notebook, you get, with a table, you do get a license of Notebook, so if you've never used it, I encourage you to use it. So that's pretty good. So if I want to have that, then basically in Notebook what I would do is do an export as an image file right here. And I'm going to browse for, let's see, I think it's that. Yep, it's that folder right here. And I'm going to make it 1024 by 768 so it spreads out. Click OK, and if I come here, it should be, so I'm going to go back right here. So for this activity, I have this background. See, that's this background. So count the snowballs. I'm going to go into, so let me go back to this folder, and, whoops, I wonder where that went. Oh, there it is right there. So here it is. Stretch it out, click OK, and now what's my next step? My next step is to count those snowballs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I would change that to 11. And then I'm going to deselect all those. And that's pretty much it, because I'm not at a high enough number. I don't think I want to token distribute those. So that's how easy it is. So I'm curious, how many of you, I'm just kind of curious, how many of you in my audience, our numbers keep growing up, bigger and bigger. So how many of you have actually created something from scratch? If you can, I'm not going to call on you because that will freak you out, but you've got a little raise your hand button. Can you click on that if you've raised your hand? Can you raise your hand? Jennifer's done one. Anybody else that created, Linda's created from scratch? All right. All right, so maybe after today, then we'll get some people. So I'll put your hands down so I won't freak you out. But maybe after today, since these are simple strategies, depending on, I've done the same thing with upper grades. It's really just the techniques. I know I'm using an early grade thing, but it's the easiest thing to see. So let's hey Kevin, let's go on and let me show you some other things that I've done. So this one's called Hot Spaces. And what I want you to do, if you're following along with me, so I'm going to explain how I did this, and then we're going to actually practice on a couple of these if you're following along. But this one's called Counting Snowman. So I basically created a background, with this. So I would have, for each one, I have a background for each activity. So this one has its background. I just used Notebook, and I just pulled out the little snowman and tilted them all around. So if you remember, you don't want things top to bottom. You want things kind of spread out, because if you, like when I create table activity packs, sometimes I'll stand above my if I'm on a laptop, and put the top down and kind of look at it from that way and say, how's this going to look? So basically on this one, hot spaces, so if you've ever done an activity pack on a table, hot spaces has a space that's hot, so when you move things in. So let me show you how this works, and then we'll take a peek at how I created it. So here's, can you find the missing piece? That's actually not. That was, I think, going to go for the next activity. So see, that title really didn't go for all of them, so I would probably take that out. So this one, here's the activity. Here is counting snowmen, so the kids 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if they place this in here, it's not going to do anything. If they place the 7 in there, it gives the validation. While I'm in this mode, I'll go ahead and show you the next next one. So people always say, hey Heather, where do you get your ideas from? And honestly, sometimes I can be creative and sometimes not so much. So I was out looking for snowman stuff and snowman ideas, and I came across this worksheet, and I'll show you, and it was a Sudoku page, and I said, oh wow, that would be kind of cool to do that on a table. So here's what it looks like. So I made, and I gave you the templates. I think I did. I gave you the background, but basically, and I've done this in hot spots and hot spaces. So this is hot spaces, but if you've not ever done, I still find people that aren't familiar with Sudoku, but what Sudoku is and this is a simple activity. So if you have upper grades, man, I think you could make some pretty cool little activities if you've got some upper grades for the table. But basically, in this quadrant, these all have to be they all have to be different icons. Then they also have to be different going vertically and horizontally. So in this one, I've got a snowman, and I also have numbers on here just for ease, but the kids, I've done this and they don't actually see the numbers, they see the pictures. But for ease, you would place that in here and see how you get the little marchy ants when it's right. So I've got a snowflake, a mitten, a hat, and I need a snowman. This one is the hat, a snowflake, a snowman, and this one would be the mitten, and then I would have this here. So nothing really tricky about it. You just kind of have to think through it. And then there's 4 of these. So same thing. I like repeating things, so then I don't have to do it so many times. So if I go back to here, let's take a look at this a little bit so you can kind of see how this works. So in your folder, so if I come back to here, let me go back to this doesn't always go back to that folder that I want. So here's that folder. So in here I have a hot spaces folder, and there's the counting snowmen if you want to, but I did give you the cards. I gave you a notebook file. I didn't do a PowerPoint, but I can. But I've got 3 cards here. So so this is how these are going to end up being backgrounds. So basically, if you're following along, what I want you to do is to do this with me. So first of all, I'm going to delete this hot space. So all I did to do this is I clicked on it once. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to red exit to delete it. So and so now I don't have anything there. So I have my activity is created, then I've added my background. I'll talk about this in a second. But then I need a space. So I'm going to put a rectangle here. Or you know what? I could put a circle here. It doesn't really have to be a rectangle. And the way this works, it doesn't generate from the center out. It generates from the top down. So notice where I have my little icon. So if I drag this down, then I can have here, and this is going to be the hot space. If you mess up and you mess up and you let up too fast, you'll get more circles like this. You have to go back to the arrow, and then you can click on those and red X them. So that's what a lot of novice users do. They start clicking and they don't click, they don't hold their mouse down for a long enough time. So left click, drag down, and then let up. Now, I can't move this around. That's the other thing that people want to do. I can't move this around. So if you don't get this exactly how you want it, just delete it and do it again. The other thing that these little cute letters, these came from the gallery. So if I wanted to, let me show you where these are. So these are cute little gallery pictures. So if I did the number, I'll just do the number 8. So I'm going to find the cute ones. These are like, they're called, I think they're called 8. I don't know if they're called letter magnets, maybe. I think there's what they're called. Oh, yeah, look. So there's all these cute little letter magnets. So if I do, let's see what happens if I do number magnets. Except that's funny because not all of them show up. That's what's really odd about that. So if I wanted the number 8, which that's the one I want, then I can go to, because it goes up to, I believe, 9. So I just keep scrolling. Oh, there it is right there. So it's called 8_number. So it's a gallery item. So if I wanted that, I'm going to click on it and click OK. It gives me that cropping. I don't want to crop this. I just want it like it is. And there it is right there. So how do you get this to work? So the correct answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm going to place 7 in here. Notice that I have the show. So hot spots and hot spaces have what they call the end region and the start region. So I have an end region. So this is where the answer is. So this is my end region. So where do I want those things when the table activity pack starts up? Where do I want those little numbers to start? So I'm going to pull them all over to just a little place somewhere. Maybe I want them to be right here. Or maybe I want them to be over here. It's up to you. You have the ability. So after this, if you want to play around with this, you can take this. So this is my start. So when the table activity, when I preview it in just a second, this is where they'll start. This is where the answer is. And so the correct answer would live in, oh, I guess you can move it around. Holy cow. I guess I didn't realize that. So correct me. So you can move it around. You can't resize it. So you can move it around. I guess I've never even tried that. See how that works? Even the expert people learn something new. I don't consider myself an expert by any means. But there you go. So that's this one. If I come down here to counting to the snowman Sudoku, so right here is this. So notice how here's the end region, here's the start region. So I have that here. See how I have the end and the start? Whoops. Now that I know I can move that around. And here's the end and the start. So if you wanted to add a new one, and we'll just call this card 4, even though we'll just use one of the same ones. So this is card 4. I'm going to create a background, so I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to Hot Spaces, go to Sudoku, and I'll just choose one. Let's choose card. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm going to move these in a bit, and click OK, and there's my card right there. Now, I didn't say this before, but sometimes what happens with kids in hot spaces, you might have encountered this, where the kids aren't really paying attention. They're just moving things until they see the little marchy ant. So like on this one, if they move, if I have this start and they start seeing, well, let me go back to this one. They start seeing the marching ants, you can turn that off. So this enable visual feedback right here, if you turn that off, that means that everyone has to get the answers in the place before they get any visual feedback. So let's say let's say you are, you notice your kids just kind of move stuff around and then they get the things and they don't really pay attention, because if you ask them a question, then you say, wait, okay, I'm going to go back in, I'm going to save this, I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to see if there's a difference. Let's see. I have a question, Jennifer. I'll answer it in just a second. So like on this one, so I have my, so if I want to, I'm going to use the square this time and then drag and make my little boxes. There's my boxes. So go back to the arrow. Now what I need to do is, I'm going to show you, this is really fun to do. So if you're on doing your boxes, I'll give you a second, and then I'm going to look at the question, and then I'm going to show you how I got those little, I kind of cheated to get those pictures here. So I'm going to show you how I did that. This may be an odd question later. I'm curious about OS compatible Mac operating systems. I don't know. Mac and Windows on the toolkit work the same, so I'm not sure. We might have to take that one offline because I'm not sure exactly what you're asking to this. So you can you connect a different computer? You can't. So the table actually has a computer. It has an appliance in it. So maybe, Jennifer, if you want to email me afterwards, I can try to help that question. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so let me show you how I did this, so you can kind of see. So what I want is those pictures now. So those are going to be the set up the labels. So watch how cool this is. So I've got the background here. So I'm going to go to the same picture again. So I'm going to click on a card. But this time, what I'm going to do is and I'm just going to crop this out. So think about all those PDFs that maybe you have a picture or you have something in. This cropping feature is super, super cool because you can use this so you don't have to do any cropping. It does it for you, so you just have to get it just kind of right. Let's see if I can get this better. Kind of small, but it works. Look at there. See that? So this one would go here. That's my end region. I'm going to do that again. So double click here, and now I need a little mitten. Well, I could go and get all of them, but so you could do that if you have a picture of something, if you, you know, whatever you want. But I'm just using the crop. Oh, that's kind of blurry, but I guess that works. Well, it works. It doesn't look too bad. So that's going to go there. So I think you get the idea. And what's cool about this is when I got started, I just learned a few little strategies and I just went with it. So I don't have to know a ton. It's just the same strategies or the same techniques over and over and over again. So that's kind of how you do it. I think you get the idea. And then I'm just going to preview this and show you this so you can see what it looks like. And I'm going to change that title because that's not good. So I just noticed these arrows. I went to the side. So remember how I did the enable visual feedback and I deselected that? So now when I place this, oh, I thought I did that. Maybe it wasn't on that one. Let's see. Let's try. I thought that I took that off of there. Let's see. Yeah, I did. That's not supposed to, that's supposed to not, oh, there it did. Huh. Maybe that first one I did it after the fact. But notice, like, there is no visual feedback. Let's see. Oh, no, I guess it is. I'm going to have to check that out and see what's up. Oh, maybe it is. That's right. So it's working like it's supposed to. It just didn't like it on the first one. Let's see. Oh, maybe that's because, oh no. I think because I don't have them in the right place. That's user error. Okay. Oh, yeah, Linda, I do too. So great suggestion. So Linda has a question or a comment. I wish I could get my pictures from my content. Yeah, I've already submitted that as a feature request if we ever get updated the software. I have suggested that numerous times. So what Linda is, if you're using Smart Notebook, in here there's a My Content section, so these are pictures of things. So if you're using that, if you're a notebook user, so that's a great, I'll give that feedback again. Maybe it'll make more influence. So I didn't do that exactly right because I didn't get that in the right places, I think, for those. But that button isn't doing what it's intended to do, because when you deselect that, it shouldn't give you the visual feedback. So it could be just me today, but that shouldn't, when you take that out, it should only do the visual feedback at the very end. All right, we have just a couple more minutes, and I wanted to show, because I wanted to make more activities for you so that you can go away and play with them. So what this one is, this is a cute, fun background. It's in there, but what this one does is this one. So I just made a cute little background, and then once again it's a one-to-one. Hot spots and hot spaces work the same way, except instead of having a space that's hot, you have a dot. So anywhere that whenever you place your icon in when you're building, so if I come here, so notice where I put my number 1 here, that's where that end position is going to indicate where the dot is. So if I come back here again, let me preview. Whoops, here it is right here. So notice that it's right here. So basically, if I come here, these will lock in place. So this is a one-to-one relationship. If I place it in a wrong place, then it won't turn colors. The difference between hot spaces and hot spots also is once you have it locked in, you can't move it. So hot spots is just another way, another idea in getting kids to utilize where to go. And yes, I do too. Linda also says, great comment, wish you could determine where you want the spot to go. So yeah, all good feedback. I also did a skip counting one, so they used labels here. So this is a label, so you just click on here and it's a label that you can use to double click, and if I said this is 2, you know, that's what that is a label. And then I did the same game, but I did hot spots with this one. So same game, I just decided to see how it would work, and it does work a little bit better with a spot. With media, you'll find in the media application, media is one where you can have pictures and videos. So what I did is I downloaded a video and I converted it to, I downloaded it from a YouTube video, and then I used a video converter to convert it to, it has to be, when you do videos, you jump down here and it has to be AVI or WMV. So if you wanted to know and you ever didn't know how to get videos in there, you have the video living on your computer, and then you say, oh, I want to use that, and then if I go into my folder, into my media, I think there it is right there. It's a public domain. It's just Snow. So you could add that as well. You won't see it on here. You'll have to put it on your table to see what it's going to do. But the idea behind this is you resize these little snowman and you build a snowman. So these are little pictures that I copied and pasted from the Smart Exchange, and so you can resize. Notice there's some image, video, zooming. I used KeepVid to convert my to convert. So all right. So I have used that in here, so I use KeepVid to do that video. That's what I did, keepvid.com. And it has to be an AVI or WMV. So that's this. Narrow it down is just a fun little application like who's who, or who am I, that game. So they have to ask yes or no questions. I wanted just to give you some different ideas. This one's pretty simple. Using those same things, you add a new card, add the image in here, and you can add text, and then it's a guess who game, or who am I, kind of yes, no. You would ask questions like, is it white? Is it green? Does it have green in it? And the kids have to answer yes or no. And then paint, it's probably easier. Once again, I said, where do I get my ideas from? And so I get my ideas a lot of different places, but I also, let me go back here. Here is one of the places. I just went out on the web and found a little mini book, and I was winter words, and so I just copied this and then I saved it and so the kids would use this, and they would write using media, and they would write the words. So that's what media is these two. This has snowmen and mittens, and then this picture right here this is the kids using the paint. Inside of paint, they would use the paint pens. That's what they would do on there, and they would use the pens to write, and then they would draw their snowman face. So that's what paint is. So if I wanted to add anything else, I can have up to 8 applications. So if I wanted to add Smart Notebook, I could, and maybe I downloaded a notebook file to use within inside of here. I can have up to 8. It's just I would keep them real simple. So that would be my suggestion. All right, we are past time. I hope I didn't get, let's see what questions. I didn't get to go through all of them in full detail, but I hope that you can take this pack and remember that this is the gallery, this is your folder, and it's really just repeating those steps over and over again. And then I would save it. So if you wanted to try this out, this activity pack, then you would save it, put it on your USB, and plug it in and try it out. If you are the benefit of having the sound is if you are a different language, you can record your voice in that language, or maybe you're trying to get kids, if it's a bilingual classroom and you have a predominant language, it's really good for that. So it's got a lot of different cool benefits to it. I encourage you to take something that's created and customize it a bit. I have a lot of resources, so if you're looking for something, let me know how I can help you. Let me take a quick peek at the questions. So you can do, so Jennifer, you can use Notebook, and the Notebook application is created for the toolkit. The benefit of using Notebook right here within the toolkit is you get more touches, but I would limit the number of pages. You can, the benefit of using Notebook within the toolkit is you can have 8 students touching. If you were to load Notebook outside and just use it outside of the table right now, it's a single touch. So that's kind of the difference between it. Within the table, within using it right here, you get more touches. It's built for more touches. If you use it, let's say you have a table and you put Notebook just on the desktop, it's a single touch. And yes, I agree about the backgrounds. And then let's see. I think that's, do you know if Edition Plus determines how the problems will go based on finger use? So Jennifer's asking about, is it based on the number of users? So great question. And if you have to head out, I know lots of you are still here. I try to get not stay over, but it's a great question. So this one, Edition right here, you have Edition and Edition Plus. If you've ever, Edition, so here's something really interesting. So Edition is where you can put a question. It's random, and let me go right here to show you. So you can add the counting, but it's random questions. So let's say you have 4 students, but 4 students are only counting up to 20. What it's going to do is it's going to randomize by the number of kids. So it's going to say you have 4 kids. The answer will go up to 40. So 10 per person. But if you kept kids that are only counting up to 20, that's not so good. So here's my workaround for this. So let's say you want to have kids counting up to 120. You just change the number of users in your teacher menu. But let's say they're only counting to 20, but you have 4 kids. You would change the number of users just for this. Like I would make one activity pack, and those of you that are brand new, this might not mean a lot to you, but addition is it does random questions and answers. So if you have kids only counting to 20, but there's 4 kids, then take it down to 2 users. It doesn't mess up the system. You would only just get numbers up to 20. So I hope that made sense. But then I would only do that as I would only have one application in my activity pack. All right, I am over time by 5 minutes. I apologize. Those of you that are listening to this after the fact, I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. I'll make sure that I post these resources for you and some other resources. The next session will be in February. So we're skipping a month, so we'll see you in February for the next session. And if you want to, I'm looking for volunteers that want to share how they're using tables. So if you want to volunteer, email me at edtoed@smarttech.com. So thank you, everyone. I hope that if you have any questions, if you dabble around with that little folder of stuff, if you have any questions on how to better use that, please let me know, and have fun creating your own activity packs. And I love to see them when you're finished with them or hear about them. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll see you in February. Thanks a bunch.